guys, it's Mia here and welcome back to another bookish video. And this was actually filmed on the same day that I filmed the Rise of Kyoshi full spoiler review and full thoughts video. So I actually got a book done at the same day I said I was going to start one, which is rare for me. But this book is short and it's called A Christmas Secret by Wanda and Bernstetter. Sorry if I mispronounced the last name, I'm trying my best. So, this is a relatively short book at 132 pages, plus the writing is pretty big, and then it's got this constant, evergreen tree limbs at the bottom. So it's not a very long read at all, and at first I thought this was going to be your stereotypical happy-go-lucky, everybody gets a happy, good ending Christmas story. And it starts out with our main character Elizabeth talking about her friend, about how she plans on not only getting married on Christmas Eve, but also on her birthday, because her birthday is on Christmas Eve. So her and her friend are cleaning, and she's saying, well, are you sure you want to live in this tiny log cabin? I mean, what if you want to raise a family? It's not going to be big enough for you, because this book was set in the 1800s. So it was set in a time where women did the cooking and the cleaning and men did the working. So they're talking about that. And she's like, oh, I love David, it'll work out just fine, and he's planning on building me a bigger house when he gets the money to, but for now, we're fine being in this small cabin with it just being us. And they're like, well, you need a better husband that can get you a better house and a better life, and she's like, well, I love David, and yada, yada, yada. And then it goes to them, David is a wagon shop owner, which means he builds all the carriages for rich people. That was the equivalent of being a car manufacturer back then. So he does that. He builds wagons instead of building cars. So everything goes well and fine and dandy, and they're all excited for both Christmas and the wedding on Christmas Eve and her birthday on Christmas Eve. So there's a lot riding on the Christmas Eve holiday. Although we start in the fall months, we don't start right at Christmas. So one day, her friend has to leave when they decided to clean the cabin again. So she has to go because her mother was sick, and so Elizabeth is left alone at the cabin. So she keeps cleaning, and then she comes across her aunt's journal. Because her grandparents had owned the cabin before her, and then it kind of fell to her. So she decides, why not? I haven't seen my aunt in years. I don't even know if she's alive. So I'm just going to read her journal and see her inner thoughts and her inner personality. And so she just reads. The first couple of pages start out normal until she comes across one passage that shocks her. And it's about her soon-to-be husband's father. So her aunt writes that her Elizabeth's mother had gotten with David's father and had been pregnant already when she married Elizabeth's father that she has now. So understandably, Elizabeth is freaked out because she's like, oh my goodness, that would make David my half-brother. So, taking the word of the diary to truth, because why would someone write that if it wasn't true, especially in their own personal diary that they would never expect anyone to read or even to see. So, instead of calmly going to David and saying, oh my goodness, look what I found. I had no idea that we were whatsoever related. We can't marry if that's how it is. And so she doesn't want to bring dishonor on both her family and on her now no longer husband. She just wants to cover it up and run from the issue instead of talking about it like the adult she is. So she just bolts. And this is the letter that she left her not husband anymore to tell him that she was leaving. Instead of explaining stuff privately to him, this is what she says on page 50. Dear David, as hard as it is for me to tell you this, I know I must say what's on my heart, and I hope you'll understand. I've come to realize we are not meant to be together, so I won't be marrying you on Christmas Eve. I'm going away. Please don't try to find me because I won't change my mind. It is over between us. I pray that God will bring someone else into your life and that you'll find happiness you deserve. Fondly, Elizabeth. So that's what she leaves him. She doesn't give him the explanation of, hey, I found out we are siblings, and I didn't know that beforehand. I never would have married you if I did. She tells him straight up, I'm leaving, and without no explanation. So she keeps hopping around, and after telling that to her husband, she goes and flat out tells her friend everything, burdening her friend to keep that horrible secret, and then expecting her friend not to tell her husband, or not husband anymore, what happened. But after he sees the note, like after the husband David sees the note on the mantle, he wants to get to the bottom of everything. He wants to talk it out with Elizabeth. So this man goes to the ends of the earth looking for this girl, going from family member to family member to her friend, and her friend ends up spilling where she is. So when he goes to her grandparents, which she went to hide out at, she's no longer there because she had dipped out to her cousin's house. And he goes, forget this, I'm going to go to the source. Well, he was talking to his business owner or business partner, and he goes, well, my cousin who works as a nurse knows a lady by this name. And he goes, really? Where do they live? And they go, Philadelphia. So he heads clear to Philadelphia, finds her aunt, and then asks her straight out, is this true? Did you really write this in your journal? And she goes, yes, I wrote this in my journal, but it was a complete and utter lie because I was angry at her because I loved that man. So I figured writing it would help myself feel better. I never intended for someone to see it. I never intended to hurt anyone. So without Elizabeth knowing this information, she still feels incredibly guilty. Not only for loving her half-brother, but for leaving him the way that she did, for not explaining anything. It's eating her up inside. She's depressed and everything else. And then finally, David tracks her down and is like, here's the letter of confession your aunt wrote, we're not related, and happy ending. So like I said, this is a very short book, and it honestly kept me way more entertained than I was expecting. This is really good, and I'm sorry for all the spoilers, but because it's a short book, there's not much to talk about. So that's it for me, and I hope, and I'm starting this tomorrow, and it's Kingdom Come, and it's by Jane Jensen, and it's about a police chief whose husband is murdered, so this sounds good. But yeah, that's it for me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, guys.